Hello everyone, this is Remleiz from 40k Theories, and welcome to this newest episode of Adeptus Podcastus. Joining me as always is Tactica Imperialis.
Hello everyone.
And joining us as our guest this week is the other half of 40k Theories, Mama Homebrew, Naerina.
Oh, hello everyone.
Now firstly, how is everyone doing today? Hopefully better than me, because I'm having a very shoddy week. I can't swear this early into the video.
I could give it a couple of seconds, then we'll start.
Praise be the algorithm.
if you give it over a minute, you can do it. But
yes, I'm all right. Yeah, it's half term where I live at the moment, so finally getting a chance to catch up on some sleep and do some hobby. So yeah, can't complain. Well, I can, but what's the point?
Catching them asleep, lucky.
No,
bastard.
yeah, absolutely.
I can swear now, so.
Very sneaky indeed. I'm doing okay. Today was a day of travel. Also, I spent way too much money in IKEA for soundproofing things, so my wallet hurts. But otherwise, I'm, at the moment at least, quite fine.
Good.
Also, I'm sure it was just a complete coincidence, but the way you went travel, it sounded just like the intro to EC3's song from TNA. No, trouble.
Yeah, goodness gracious, true.
Yes, fair warning, this is one of those episodes where all three of the wrestling nerds are on the show, so fair warning, it's going to come up and there will be references all over. You have been warned.
Well, as long as we are not forgetting about Keith, everything's going to be fine.
You do not. No one is forgetting about Keith after Wednesday night.
Yeah, that was a proper flip.
Yeet.
But before we lose the audience completely.
Yeah.
In the news this week, there is a fair amount.
Yeah, it's a lot of little things. Well, actually, no, there's a few important things and then a lot of little things. Yeah.
Shall we start off with the one that's been, quite frankly, pissing everyone off?
Yeah.
Pricing.
I think, let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
So, from the 7th of March, so about 3 weeks after this episode comes out, GW prices will be going up by about 5% in many currencies, though a few things such as books and resin and terrain will be going up by 10%, and things like Blood Bowl and metal miniatures will be going up by about 20%. It should be noted, however, that if you are in Australia and New Zealand or Japan and China, then your currencies are not affected, so we're not going to gouge the New Zealanders anymore. And it should also be noted that paints and all things adjacent to painting, such as brushing, brushes, tools, and the like, are not to be affected. So those who already own models are not being affected. And it should also be noted that many starter boxes, such as the AOS 40k editions of different sizes, as well as the Underworld starter kits, are not being affected. So the point of entry for a new hobbyist is unchanged in terms of the core models and the paints and brushes. That is unchanged. The big change for new players will be in books.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, but of course there are many places you can get, for example, points values online. You can get a lot of rules if you know what you're doing without pirating. You don't have to pirate. I'm not advocating piracy here, but there are people who do rules reviews if you want to read them and hear about them that way as an option. So it's not good, and we're not going to sit here and defend it, but given that at the moment, at least in the UK where GW is based, there is a very well known, it's all over the news, cost of living, crisis, as many of them call it. I'm trying to stay out of using political terminology, but it's been often classed as a cost of living crisis. It is unsurprising that GW are having to deal with higher overheads. Whether it's fair that gets passed on to customers is up to you, because they do make a decent chunk of profit. But that's what's happening, and that's the reason that they have given, at the very least.
Yeah, as an artist in general, I really appreciate the fact that, because I sometimes use those, brushes, not just for, miniatures, but for other kind of painting as well. I really like the fact that these things have not gone up in price, but it still breaks my heart that on this list the majority of starter sets. Of course, Idoneth Deepkin is not a starter set necessarily, naturally, but I'm still like, oh, my ocean elves.
It needs to be, I'll raise some funds and sell you my old Idoneth, if needs be. I'm slightly joking, but also probably not joking, given what... but yes, so if you are looking to do these sorts of things, and I think what's also worth noting is that at the very least, they have been upfront and given you a month's notice.
Yeah, true.
So if you were thinking about making a purchase, you have a choice now as to whether you want to go and make it or not. But I think it should be stressed that under no circumstances should this be taken as it's a free-for-all, get in while you can, because even if you're saving like £1 on a box of Space Marines, there's kind of no point splurging now, because as much as it might be nice, you need to make sure you have enough money for your overheads. So just putting it out there. Yes, the prices are going up. No, don't just panic buy.
Yeah, smart.
So what you're saying is panic.
The only people who may need to debatably panic, and panic is the wrong word, are those who are looking to get some of the older miniatures affected by the other bit of news that happened this week, the Warhammer 40,000 range rotation.
Yeah, very true.
So there are a number of Space Marine kits that are being rotated out, and this is something that you see in many companies. You have rotations of things coming in and out of stock. Rather than having everything being made to order, they've decided to, keep a few things out of stock for a while. What they've done is they picked some older Marines miniatures, predominantly at least, Lysander, Corbulo, Tycho, the Dark Angels Company Master, Chaplain Cassius, Sergeants Telian and Cronus, the Cato Sicarius model, the White Scars Carnon Bike, Ultramarines Tyrannic War Veterans, the old, not Ephrael Stern, Brother Captain Stern of the Grey Knights, Lucas the Trickster, the first edition Rune Priest in Terminator armour, Space Wolves Grey Hunter with Wolf Standard, Chapter Master Gabriel Seth and Pedro Cantor, as well as a couple of newer miniatures, those being the Blood Angels Captain in Terminator armour from Shield of Baal, and Deathwatch Captain Artemis from Deathwatch Overkill, and the Flesh Tearers shoulder pads. So Flesh Tearers players, be aware your shoulder pads are going away.
No!
Now, this is not to say they're gone. They're coming back.
Yay!
I was just going to say that I still can't get over the fact that Lucas the Trickster's model looks like Jim Carrey and Lemony Snicket.
Is he going to leave some children, on the rails like, hello, train?
Well, it's going to be leading a series of unfortunate events now, the case, so...
True.
Also, I just want to say, I pretty much had no idea that the Grey Hunter with Wolf Standard was even a thing.
I feel like I've seen it before, but I couldn't have told you it was in the range until I saw it again. Like, I feel like I have seen it before, though.
But yeah, it's like... It's weird that they've got some of the 7th edition models being rotated. I assume because, no one's buying them or something.
It's also, I don't know if they ever got individual releases. Could you buy an individual Artemis at any point? Willing to be corrected here. But I feel like there was never an individual release.
You must be able to if they're rotating out of the range.
Yeah, they must be. But yeah, just I don't ever remember. Do you remember this character from this box? Well, now they're getting an independent release. I just don't remember that promo piece.
I know it was at the very least available in the Deathwatch Combat Patrol, a while back.
Oh, right.
Because that was the only Deathwatch character apart from just a standard playing a Watch Warden at the time, wasn't it? So
yeah, then they did the Watch Captain with a Guardian Spear, didn't they?
That's what I meant. Yeah, sorry. That was the only other character model in the range for their army, wasn't it?
Still is, I think.
Apart from just generic apothecary with Deathwatch shoulder pad.
Yeah, true.
Also, I've got to say, the Ultramarines Tyrannic War Veterans, the picture, when I first saw it, I was like, how the hell does it have such a great big head in comparison to its tiny, tiny legs? And I was like, oh, right, those are knees and not the feet. Right.
It just reminds me of that old Chaplain model where he does have the tiny, tiny legs.
Show me.
Yes, I didn't say it before. Those models will rotate on February 27th. So about just under 2 weeks from when this episode comes out. So if you are wanting them for your armies, then please be aware that that is what is happening. And it does raise a question of what's next. Is this the way that they retire the old Space Marines to some extent by not stopping them being in the books, not stopping people using them, but just not selling them and putting them into out of stock rotation as a way to just be like, yeah, we're basically just saying just buy Primaris now. I don't know. I'm not saying they are doing that, but it's an interesting way to keep Space Marines and Firstborn in the game without them needing to take up any shelf space.
I think at least it could be like that. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. It's just I was like, maybe this is the way that they eventually, because when you get 5 years down the line, if they've rotated the entire Space Marine range out, then, well, the entire Firstborn range out and Primarisized everything that is needed to give them a full standalone Primaris range, then, well, yes, you've got the diehard players who won't need to buy anything anymore, and the new players won't know any different. And they'll just think, those are... And then they update the rules to say, all Firstborn Space Marines need to go on Primaris-sized bases now. This is your counts as list. Rotate.
Sneaky. But yeah, I think they actually might be at least trying this kind of tactic, like, hey, let's take these like miniatures out from, from the shelves that they have enough room for new products, and then see if they just if they sales go up, then why should they bring back these old models? Also, I'm intrigued. If the Flesh Terror shoulder pads are going out, are they bringing Primaris versions to the stores?
I mean, I would hope so. I mean, they should have done that when the... I mean, unless they have got, I don't know what the new Blood Angels kits and upgrade sprues look like as to whether they have Flesh Terrorist parts or transfers in them. I genuinely don't know. But I remember my only experience of custom shoulder pads was buying a set of Farsight Enclave shoulder pads. And that was £8 I'll never see again. I mean, they look nice on my breeches, but it wasn't worth it.
Oh, yeah. Jesus. So I just, for some reason, I went to go on Games Workshop site and it automatically defaulted to New Zealand.
Get the cheaper prices.
I saw the price of the Flesh Terror shoulder pads in New Zealand, $20 for shoulder pads.
20? What? What? Why?
Yeah, because New Zealand gets screwed over by everything price-wise.
They're not getting any more price rises right now, though, at the very least.
True,
I mean, for comparison, the UK price is £6. New Zealand price is $20.
Oh, God.
That's just a casual 333% markup.
Yeah, as you do.
I mean, the exchange rate is about 2 to 1, as I understand, but yeah.
Yeah. Also, Rem, those are very tiny leggies indeed in this picture.
I just want to say, £6 to New Zealand dollars. £6 is about 12.5 New Zealand dollars. So you guys in New Zealand getting screwed over being charged 20 quid for something you're going to be charged at most $13 for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys need to send JY over to Nottingham to sort them out.
And there we go.
There we go. There you go. It's a wrestling reference and a New Zealand reference in one. There you go.
Gasp.
All we need to do is somehow reference sheep and we got the trifecta.
No. Sorry, I couldn't come up with anything.
Awkward silence. Yeah, moving on.
I couldn't come up with anything. Sorry.
Yeah, we just blacked out.
I will say this, though. That film, Black Sheep, that New Zealand film about the killer sheep, fucking hilarious.
I need to watch it.
Literally, mutant killer sheep. It's brilliant. It's a zombie film with sheep, basically. It has were-sheep in it as well.
Do they wrestle?
No, they don't wrestle, but they do get burned by being splashed with mint sauce. It's like holy water to the were-sheep, so it just burns them.
I'm trying to process this amount of information that you have just given me, because
it is a great film.
It does sound like a wonderfully great film, and it reminds me of the, what is it called in English? Is it Lesbian Vampire Killers or something like that? The movie called, like the whole idea of what sort of holy fucking shit, what's going on, things that are going on in there. And that's a very good film as well. So, yeah, I can imagine that it is a very good film. Still processing, though.
Well, while you do your processing, I think probably the big... okay, those were the two probably most important bits of news of the week. For those of you who are more into organised play and tournaments, I should probably make you aware, if you weren't already or you'd missed it, that Warhammer have officially partnered up with the ITC, the International Tournament Circuit. So you get ITC points, whatever that means, for taking part in events at, for example, Warhammer World and the like. And it talks about some things that you can do, new event types, new formats, hobby trackers. Winners get to compete at an official Warhammer final, which was first done at the LVO. You get digital rules entitlements, redeemable codes. Yeah, I don't know what digital rules entitlements means. I really don't. But if you win at the end of the year, you get a 2,000 point army of your choice.
Ooh, lovely.
And the top finishers of the year will be allowed to take part in the feedback group for the game balance data slate, for whatever that's worth. There will also be a tournament organizer advisory group set up to help give feedback, learn from best practice, and help and support. This sort of links, I think, a little bit into what happened a few weeks ago, the last time you were on the show, Naerina, actually. I think it's part of that. Increasing the amount of terrain and support available for tournament organisers, and making sure that everyone has the everything up to date with the books and the missions and the rules by supplying them as well. And organisers will also get to take part in the balanced data slate feedback group. So, yeah, if you are a tournament kind of person, an organiser or a competitor, then exciting times ahead, I suspect.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, I'm not one, but still...
No,
sounds
me neither.
Exciting.
Yeah. This is one of those times where you need someone who's a bit more tournament savvy on the show to actually tell you what all that means. But unfortunately, we haven't got anyone between us.
Yeah, we're here like, wrestling, yeah.
Yeah, we are the filthiest of filthy casuals.
Yes, absolutely.
But if you are more into, actual miniatures and doing the filthy casual things, well, may I draw your attention to the full reveal of the Void-Scarred Corsair kill team, because that got revealed in full this week after the LVO teaser, and holy cannolis, these models are good.
Oh, yeah, I'll look
nice,
at them as well. Go ahead, Rem.
I just thought they got a nice little mix of both Craft World and Drakari aesthetics in their designs as well.
Yeah, so you've got one who's got like a shredder type thing and a Drakari helmet. And then on the next one, you've got someone with a very much a Craft Worlder helmet edge. Though, to be honest, I don't like the head. So the one who's holding the gemstones. You then got a Ranger type character.
I just want to say, apparently that one is actually an Exodite according to some people.
Possibly.
Could be.
Apparently he has the Exodite rune on him, so...
Yeah, I wouldn't know where to start looking for it. You've got a Ranger, an actual Seer. So definitely a classic Craft Worlder there with Spirit Stones and the like. So a nice mix of models that are both classic Eldari, classic Drakari, and a nice blend in between. Like, I get the feeling the one with the twin blades and the crossed knives across their belt will be used by many people in role-playing games.
I just realised that one... it not only has like a warp spider warp jump generator on its back, but it looks like it's got like is that like a Harlequin mask on its face?
It looks like the mask that you might also find on a Dark Eldar Reaper jet bike rider.
Okay. Because it reminds me a lot of a Shadow Seer's mask.
A bit.
I'm not sure. I don't have a close enough look at it to know for certain. But either way, some really, really nice models in here. And
oh my god, I just realised something. So because he's got the two knives and he's got the warp jump generator on his back, he's literally the kind of guy who teleports behind and goes, "Nothing personal, kid."
Oh god, yeah. Oh god. Oh god. Oh
It's
god,
the
you're right.
ancient
Oh god. I guess while we were laughing at as we were laughing at this whole possibility, he was just studying the blade.
That's why he's wearing a mask to hide the neck beard.
Oh God, no! No!
That hood's basically the elfin equivalent of a fedora.
No!
Oh dear. Also, it's worth pointing out that thing I thought was a shredder. That's a wraith cannon. That's a not wraith carried wraith cannon. Apparently, just make you aware. There's a wraith cannon that can be carried by a random jabroni.
Nice.
As one does.
I just want to make one more joke in regards to the edgy boy elf. He tips his hood and goes, Melantai?
No.
There you go. Do a Melantai reference, everyone.
Yeah, I got it. That doesn't make it any better. That doesn't make it any better.
And I thought I was the cringy one.
I'll stop.
Yeah.
For now.
It is worth pointing out as well that these corsairs will be in the Eldari codex. We'll get to the Eldari codex because that's had some changes. And Prince Yeriel will be much more in line to, go down to be, what's the word I'm looking for, a Corsair prince a little bit, as well as an autarch, in that he gets, more units in reserve to get his idea of doing what he does, etc. So, Corsairs and Yeriel actually do synergize a little bit. And I think the key word they're using for the Corsairs is Anrathe, I think. I think that's the key word they're using for them, though I can't prove. Oh, yeah, it is. So, yeah, his band of Corsairs, Corsairs, the Anrathe in the Eldari tongue. I know I've butchered it because A-N-H-R, like, how do you pronounce that? That sounds right. But there we go. Quite.
Anrathe.
Yes. So, yes, he gets Corsair synergies and is allowed to be super sneaky. So, yeah, there you go. Prince Yeriel synergizes with Corsairs. Good.
But speaking of the codex, apparently the Eldari codex is going to be absolutely massive. It's going to be like about the same size as the Space Marine one, apparently.
What? Xena's getting something big. What the hell is this? 200
pages.
Woo!
And I guarantee about 20 pages that will be lore. But
So,
they are combining Craft Worlds and Harlequins together, so we're not going to get a separate Harlequin codex this edition.
I mean, it makes sense in that,
They can't justify an 8-page codex for 30 quid.
That, definitely. And
unless you're in New Zealand, in which case that would be like 100.
Yeah, but at the very least, it does make sense. There's less it streamlines army building because you've got less to worry about with allies and stuff. I believe they clarify in another article that the Harlequins are still quite happily able to go into a Drakari army. So you can include a Harlequins patrol detachment as part of your Asayani or Drakari army without penalty. So just because they've been rolled into the Craft World book doesn't mean you can't take them with Drakari.
I just feel sorry for the Drakari players who take Harlequins and they have to lumber on the massive generic Eldari codex of them as well now.
I mean, what is wrong with Drakari taking some sort of Harlequin things?
Oh, nothing. It's just the fact they got to lumber around an extremely massive book for one tiny thing.
Yeah, true.
No, that's a callback to the that was what set Naerina's drawing instincts off, talking about lugging all books around. Also worth noting that the Ynnari are in this codex as well. So there's not going to be... So the Ynnari went from having a mini dex to a White Dwarf article to just put them in the Eldari codex and call it a day.
Which will be just limited to 3 models, probably.
It would be, yes. They'll have their own unique models, but you notice with the new Eldari kits, all of them come with helmless options to represent Ynnari. So they're able to take all that stuff and be a Ynnari army. And then at the bottom... Nids are next.
Well, yeah, because they're the only Xenos codex left.
I know, but still, Nids.
I just realised, when are we going to get the proper vanilla Chaos Space Marine codex?
Good point, given that they're not getting any new rules out of Eldritch Omens, and yes, we've seen the whole Chaos Space Marines still have one wound thing.
Yes, it's like, Jesus Christ, like, they still have one wound, even though they got a brand new box, and there's one wound still. It's like...
Yeah, that either means that they printed it a long time ago, or it means that they're just holding it back to make the Chaos players suffer, work them over a bit, and then finally give them the release of you're up to 2 wounds. I
generally don't understand, like, if they're keeping Chaos Space Marines at 1 wound, why do they make Firstborn Imperial Marines 2 wounds? Like, I can understand Firstborn Marines 1 wound, Primaris 2. Fine, I can understand that. But why make both Imperial Space Marines 2 wounds and make the Chaos Space Marines 1 wound? That just doesn't make any sense.
We know.
Yeah.
It's very silly.
Yes, and hopefully they do fix it, but it makes you wonder...
Which means they won't.
Which they probably won't. But it makes you wonder, will we get... we saw that miniature in the New Year's Day preview teaser video thingy that looked very Flyrenty or flying Tyranid-y. It'll be interesting to see what the Tyranids do get when they come along in the next month or two.
Ooh, new Shrikes, maybe.
I would be down for new Shrikes.
Ooh, that would be lovely.
Because they've already... They got the Flyrant not that long ago. They got the Gargoyles a couple of editions ago. They got the Hive Cronin Harpy done. They're not going to give him a Harridan, so...
Oh, can you imagine if they released a plastic Harridan, though? That'd be awesome.
I mean, I wouldn't say no, but I don't think that's what they're going to do. So I think Shrikes is a very good fit. Or probably it'll be a new Tyranid Warriors kit that can also make Shrikes. Probably.
Yeah.
That would make sense, considering, like, when you like the original Shrike models, they were just... it was basically an upgrade kit for Nid Warriors, just basically to give them wings.
I believe so.
Because it was a Forge World kit, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
I hope the kit was called I Believe I Can Fly.
It wasn't.
Aww. Well, next time!
Next time on Batman. Also, I'm going to talk about the next model and make a cheesy wrestling reference at the same time, because it's the Yeti! i.e. the new Blood Bowl monster.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely gorgeous. The big monkey-looking dude, Yeti.
It looks a lot like the Fomeroid Crusher that they put in Warcry. Just a lot leaner and cleaner and armoured.
Do you know what this looks like to me? It looks like a great basis to make a conversion of a wolfenized Leman Russ.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
That is a shout.
Leman Russ Wolfen from the new Blood Bowl Yeti. Come on, someone. Come on, Kit Bashers. Get on it.
Yeah, and if you do, please send us pics. Because that would be amazing.
Like, his armour, he's got some big, monster skull on one, and he's got, like, a shoulder pad on the other. You can easily make that into, like, a bit of screen stuff, make it into a Space Wolf shoulder pad kind of thing. You could do it.
Absolutely.
Why would he even fit in the Space Wolf shoulder pad if he's properly hulked out? So it can be cobbled together. The only thing you've really got to change, I think, is to give him a sword of some kind, and you'd be done.
You can just stick it in the closed fist, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Maybe change the knee pad a bit, but that's about it.
Maybe. And maybe do something to the face, make it like a bit more like his face rather than just a random monster, because...
Yeah, I think that face fun, because it's like a combination of bestial and, it's very, like, evocative of the 7th edition Wolfen models, in a way.
Yeah, the 7th edition Wolfen were like twisted humans. I don't see that in this face, or it might just be me.
It's Angry Monkey.
Leman Russ, the angry monkey.
The Angry Monkey Dog.
I mean, basically ask the Eldari, and that's exactly what the answer is. He's an angry monkey.
Monkey.
True. That was not a reference to a thing I thought you would do it a reference to.
No.
Goodness gracious.
No,
Kung Fu Panda, of all the things.
In fairness, that was more of a reference to like an animation that Yeti made.
Yeah.
He made a version of just an Imperial Guardsman going, "You save me, why? Monkey."
Dear,
Goodness.
oh dear.
Dear, oh dear, indeed.
I think where I would like to... Well, I think where Rem would like me to go next is they put out a discussion / explanation / well, I wouldn't call it a roadmap, for Necromunda Ash Wastes.
Yes. But I didn't see the article, so you have to tell.
Yes, that's more than fair. So, the Ash Waste is too expansive to fit into a single book. So there's going to be a massive new box set with a whole series of books exploring the faction. So basically, this is Necromunda 2nd edition, like full on. It's got a new start, or maybe even 3rd edition, I don't know at this point. New starter box.
Technically, this will be 4th edition.
If you count the classic, yeah.
Because you had Necromunda, the version of Necromunda was released during 2nd edition 40k. You had Necromunda Underhive, which was released during like 4th or 5th edition. And then you had Necromunda 3rd edition in 2017.
I thought Necromunda Underhive was 2017.
There's two different Necromunda Underhives. I know, it's confusing, I know, but trust me, there was a version called Necromunda Underhive back in like during 4th edition.
Right, I see. And there was also Necromunda Dark Uprising, which was the stuff with the corpse the corpse gangs and all that.
Yeah, but it's still the same edition from 2017. It's just basically, it's kind of like, like Night of the Wolf or Eldritch Omens. It's just basically like a named box.
Yeah, they do call this the biggest thing since Underhive in 2017. So, new box game, new books, and it talks about the fact that there will be some familiar factions for long-time inhabitants of the Underhive, and some new ones. So there'll be things that like, what did you call them? Was it not the Dust Raiders? I know that's wrong.
Ash Nomads.
So they'll be in there probably, but also some things you've not seen before, which will be nice. And they make a big deal of hyping up the terrain. So there'll be new terrain and new vehicles. So gangs aren't just scuffling for no reason. They've got convoys. So rest assured, you'll be able to represent these convoy situations faithfully in your
Oh my god,
games.
I just realised it's basically Gorka Morka in all but name.
Yeah, fair.
Featuring Mad Max.
Yeah, it's basically Mad Max without the orcs this time.
Yeah,
Mad Max without the orcs this time sounds like we have Mel Gibson painted green going around in places.
Mel Brotson.
Oh, sorry.
It's also worth pointing out, if you look at the map, there is a route out of Hive Primus that goes past a place called Scrap Heap along Bullet Road.
That's amazing.
You've also got a place called Skyblight. A Nomad Stronghold is on Bullet Road. You've got various different things. And this is sort of like a small area of the map of what you see out your window in Hive Primus. And they're going a lot further south, apparently, with the equatorial wastes, in terms of the Ash Waste, and where the map is going east and south from Hive Primus. So plenty to explore there as things get all Gorka-morkery. Looking forward to it. I really think those terrain pieces in particular are going to really inspire quite a lot of people, I suspect. Well, I hope so anyway.
Yeah, me too.
That was probably... Oh, hang on a minute. I've missed one thing that was very interesting that isn't to do with the tabletop. It's more to do in the online sphere. Warhammer 40,000 Chaos Gate Demon Hunters, which is the sequel to the 1998 game Chaos Gate, which is coming out on the 5th of May, is written by ADB, and also the sort of person monitoring your Grey Knight Strike Force from above, sort of voiceover man, is
King Kong.
Is Andy Serkis.
Exactly, King Kong.
You mean Gollum, right?
That as well, yes. He's King
And
Kong
Monkey,
and Gollum at the same time.
and how many other characters, goodness gracious, the man is a legend.
He is everyone.
Yeah, Andy Serkis is everyone, confirmed.
I just realised he's actually played two different monkeys, actually. He played King Kong and he played Caesar on Planet of the Apes, didn't he?
Yeah, and in the Odyssey, that Tale of the West or something like that. Goodness gracious, I'm not good with names today.
That's 3 monkeys he's played, yeah.
Yeah. Our monkey man.
And so I just guarantee someone's in the comments going, actually, Kong was an ape. It's like,
monkey.
Stop being pedantic. That's my job.
Yes.
Indeed, yes. I'm just here to comment on things and be silly.
It also confirms Mortarians in the game.
Woo!
Wasn't there a screenshot of that a while back, though?
if it hadn't already, then it confirms in this screenshot that Mortarion is in the game, looking suitably terrifying.
Yeah, I was just about to post the same thing.
So yeah, Andy Serkis is now working on, is a member of the voice cast for Chaos Gate Demon Hunters. It's out on the 5th of May. Make of that what you will.
That just means you go back and thinking, like, saying, like someone said GW couldn't afford Mark Strong for Space Marine 2, yet they can afford Andy Serkis. I'm pretty sure Andy Serkis is more expensive.
It's also worth pointing out there's a difference of Games Workshop can afford and the dev studio, because this isn't made...
Yeah, but remember, like, Sega's a pretty big studio.
But Sega isn't making Space Marine 2, they'll be the publisher, won't they?
Oh, who's making it then?
I don't know, but it's like, for example, THQ and Relic. THQ published for Relic, who are the devs. So I'm assuming Sega are the publishers rather than the devs.
Who's developing Chaos Gate then?
I'm just scrolling through the Andy Serkis video to see if I can see like anything anywhere that might tell me. I think it's Complex Games, maybe.
I've never even heard of them.
I'm willing to be wrong, but I'm looking at the logos in the corner. There's Frontier Foundry, Steam, Epic Games, the Warhammer Hammer, and Complex Games. So I'm assuming it's either Frontier Foundry or Complex Games who are the devs.
Apparently it's Complex Games, yeah. I've never heard of them though, so...
I can't say the name rings a bell.
Well, we'll see at least what sort of things they're doing.
Agreed. And, I mean, Chaos Gate is legendary for a reason. So... Yeah. It got...
even if it's only just for the fact that the original Chaos Gate really doesn't like modern computers. Like, I think like GOG had to put something like 6 patches out for it to be able to run like Windows 10.
Bear in mind, Windows 10 was not even a glint in Microsoft's eye when Chaos Gate was released. Let's be fair. Yeah.
True.
It was barely able to run on Windows 8 either. Like, it was able to run on Windows 7 with the GOG patches, but then like it took like 2 years for it to be able to run Windows 8 and then went another one to run Windows 10.
Oh, jeez.
The fact of the matter is that Final Liberation still doesn't run properly on like Windows 10 after like being on GOG since like 2015. 7 years and they still haven't been able to get a patch to make it work on modern systems. Disgraceful. Because I want to see the Commissar Holtz cutscenes in ultra clear, crisp 4K HD, please. Just so we can see him bitch slapping planetary goer for fucking up during the face of an orc invasion. It's like, you're absolutely fucking useless.
So if you're wondering where his paychecks go, now you know.
Well, Commissar Holt's paychecks? You
think
the Commissar get paychecks?
Well, perhaps his as well, but I bet you are more willing to pay for this experience than the Commissars.
So I've just really going. I just saw someone posted about a Hobbit breakfast for some reason. I was like, what the fuck?
Hobbit breakfasts are the best thing ever.
No, there's actually a Hobbit breakfast you can actually get.
Where?
Denny's, apparently. And I'm just saying like that. And I'm just saying, that's quite frankly a pathetic-looking breakfast.
It's like plastic fried eggs, a giant pile of onions, 1 sausage.
I think that's hash browns meant to be.
That's
sad. Not a hash brown. That is not a hash brown.
Then that's a rehashed brown.
That's a pile of onions.
It's not onions.
I mean, pile of onions is also good, but that's not a hash brown.
Who has onions for breakfast?
Exactly, that's my point. Why is it there?
I would.
Because it's hash browns.
Because onions are good.
Oh, so this should point out, this is from when the first Hobbit film came out. This is not a thing that's available right now. I don't think. Or if it is, then they haven't made that very clear.
It's these type of hash browns.
Pancakes.
Yeah, that's a hash brown, because, it's solid. That, in this picture, is not a solid mass. It's a lump in onions.
It's because it's Denny's.
It's not fried.
I'd put that on top of my hot dog. That belongs on top of a hot dog. No, that looks like a pile of onions that you put on top of a hot dog, and I'm going to die on this hill because it looks like a pile of fried onions that you put on top of a bloody hot dog.
Oh, which reminds me...
If your fried onions look like that, there's something very wrong with your cooking, I'm sorry.
That's why you go and buy the hot dogs.
Yes, that.
Also, this reminds me, I read online like ages ago that there is actually a food challenge relating to The Lord of the Rings in which you eat during the movie like all kinds of foods that fit the, aesthetic or the scene or something like that. And I'm so desperate to try it.
Oh, fair enough. I wouldn't even know where to start. Like, how many courses does it demand? Is it like...
yes, all the courses.
Oh, Jesus.
I'll try and find it for you. Hold on a sec.
I feel like I'm going to quote Saruman in a moment.
Let's see. The Lord of the Rings, a marathon of food. Oh, yes, here we go. And copy the link.
And I didn't even take the opportunity to call it Lord of the Onion Rings.
Because there are other kinds of rings than just onions.
And if it's food related, Lord of the Onion Rings, it's right there.
True.
Or for those of you in the UK, Lord of the Party Rings.
What are those frigging rings called? Those crisps that are ring-shaped. I don't know if you guys have those.
Onion rings.
Not onion rings, they are actually made of potato. But, yeah, in Finland we call them hot rods, like basically crisps made out of potato that are like very, very thick rings. Like children eat them by putting them on each of their fingers and they're just like eat them and
hoops.
they're the best.
Yeah, hula hoops.
Yeah, I love them.
But there are also onion rings as crisps.
Yeah, there are crisps called onion rings, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Which tend to be onion flavoured, yes.
Bastards. This is cheating. Okay, they look a bit like onion rings there.
Jesus Christ. I'm just flicking through this menu and yeah, I'm going to quote Saruman here. Is So You Have Chosen Death a Saruman line? I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is.
Good. It is good. I'm not a total noob. That would have been quite embarrassing if I'd have got that wrong.
Yeah, it would have. It really would have.
And this is when someone points out that he never actually said that in the film.
No, there's a clip of So You Have Chosen Death. There's a clip.
Yeah, there is.
Or is it the Mandela effect because of all the memes?
Please don't. We want to believe. Like how...
I think we've gone completely off track though, haven't we?
Oh, it's fine.
Oh, really? Us going off track? No way.
Also, I just want to say, for Age of Sigmar players, you're getting new rules for Beasts of Chaos in the upcoming issue of White Dwarf, and apparently it's pissed a few Beasts of Chaos players off because apparently you need like 6 books to play the army with now, plus this issue of White Dwarf or something.
I haven't actually picked up the new White Dwarf. I do own the Beast of Chaos Battle Tome, but I don't have that White Dwarf. I haven't got around to getting it yet, so I can't really comment.
It's not out yet. It goes on sale tomorrow.
Well, that would be why I don't own it yet. Yeah, also, the other reason is there are Beasts of Chaos rules buried inside one of the... I think it might be there might be something in Wrath of the Everchosen if you're wanting some of it. There's some of it in Broken Realms as well. So if you want every single different thing that the Beastmen have access to, then you do need to jump around a fair bit. And of course, if you want Slangor, well, you need to go and get them out of the Slanesh book, which is younger than the Beast of Chaos book. So if you want the rules for Slangor to use, then yeah, you haven't got those. So I know what they're saying, and hopefully that leads on nicely to the AOS roadmap that we've been given. So Idneth and Deepkin Idneth and Fire Slayers, Idneth and Deepkin are the same faction.
Indeed.
Are on their way very soon. We got some
Yay.
Fire Slayers rules previews this week, so we know they're very much en route. The Nighthaunt and Daughters of Cain will be arriving in the spring, so presumably March, April, depending on how soon they push out the box they revealed at LVO. Arena of Slaughter, I think it's called. And then towards the summer, around May, June time, there is a Chaos Battle Tome and an Order Battle Tome coming out. Hopefully that Chaos Battle Tome is Beast of Chaos, just because they're quite an old book and they need some consolidation. But then if they're in White Dwarf, who the heck knows?
Yeah, very true. But I'm honestly just very excited to hear more about my deep boys.
Oh, Arena of Shades, not Arena of Slaughter. What was I saying?
Same thing.
But yeah, I think one thing that is interesting actually is what they've done with the cover art, and this is me sort of geeking out a little bit, so bear with me. The Fireslayers and Nighthaunt cover art has not changed. That's the cover art of AOS 2's Fireslayers book and AOS 2's Nighthaunt book. But they've changed the Deepkin and Daughters one. The Deepkin now has, it's very similar to the original one in that it's got a Kellyan King on a Deepmare, but it is clearly a new piece of artwork. And the Daughters one is now on its, which I'm still not over, by the way, the fact that they've re-released the bloody thing, now has Morathi Kane front and centre, which is fitting. It's Morathi Kane, it's where she belongs. But just interesting to note that they've changed some of the artwork, but not all of it.
Also, very briefly going back to 40k for a moment, the old Tower Ethereal models are being put on made to order.
Yeah, I don't care. Farsight Enclaves. Find the Ethereals.
So you don't want the one who's got the maracas?
No, I could care less. I don't play Ethereals. Though I do have something that you've just reminded me about the Tau Codex that was confusing me and or annoying me when I was reading it last week. So if you want to buy certain upgrades for a Tau, Crisis Battlesuits, for example, if you read their data slate, it says they may take X, Y, Z, A, B, C, etc. If you go to the points values, some of those weapon options and those upgrade options are not there.
Oh God, please. This is why we proofread.
Now, the reason for that is, as I am told, is that if they are not listed in the points value section, it just means that they're a free option that you can take in place of a weapon. So you give up the gun and pay 0 points for this upgrade. The problem is, if, for example, you were helping somebody to list build for the first time, or you didn't know how 9th edition codices worked, you'd be reading at the back and going, right, where's multi-tracker? How much does a multi-tracker cost? What about this positional relay? That seems quite good. How much does that cost? It's not listed in the points values section, and so you would have no idea whether you were legally allowed to take it or not in match play. And then, to follow that up, if you don't read the data slate very carefully, you wouldn't even know you're allowed to take it at all.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Thinking about people nowadays, of course, people's this kind of span of focus has gotten shorter, and thinking that people have the time and the energy to read anything thoroughly is very optimistic.
Yeah, it took me 10 minutes to work it out. But yeah, it just annoyed me a bit that they'd done that, especially considering in the old days, in 4th and 5th and 6th and stuff, and even in 8th, they'd had the option of this costs 0 points. So you knew exactly so you may take this option for free. So you knew you could take it, but you just weren't going to pay any points for it. They told you on the points page, which was also where the war gear list was listed. Simpler times. Yeah. I just my old 5th edition Orc Codex, any model may replace its slugger and chopper with a shooter for free. On the sheet, right in front of you, couldn't miss it. And it was just why can't we do that again? I know why, because they put all the weapon profiles there instead and just put all the special rules on the data slates instead. But still, why? It's annoying, and I didn't know I could take them for a minute because I went to the back to start list building, wondered where the unit options were, then had to go check the bestiary, thinking, well, maybe they're listed in the equipment section. No. And then they're on the data sheet. Buried away in any crisis suit may exchange its weapon for 3 of the following. And it's just Jesus Christ, why is it so difficult to find a weapon option and then have to guess whether you're allowed to take it or not in match play because it's not listed in the points value section for match play? Why? Basics.
One only hopes that there is a proper table of contents in which it is declared at some point or another that, hey, this is over here.
Nope, because it's taken on a unit. Each data sheet's weapon options are individual to that unit, and the point cost for that piece of equipment is unique to that unit. Therefore, it's not listed in a universal section. Have a nice day.
For crying out loud.
I know will distract you from this. The image of a Tau with a fully defined nose.
Oh, the image right before that.
It looks weird. Why does it have a fully defined nose?
It's called contouring.
I know, but it looks so wrong.
It does.
All the rules too expensive. Yeah. Fair. This is fair.
I could also write too expansive if you wish.
It is also arguably true. We're starting a Warhammer club at school very soon, and it's like, right, how on earth are we going to teach these pupils to play the game? Like, what do we start with? What do we tutorialize? What do we do for the kids who know what they're doing? What do we do for what if they want to play Sigmar? No, we're not going to let them play Sigmar. It's just like, oh, Jesus Christ. It's so, like, teaching people, it's like, getting people into Warhammer is bloody hard.
It is. Should I just keep on drawing these kind of drawings and give you just quality, quote unquote, quality memes?
To get down with the kids, get all the mayonnaise.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you want to teach people how to get into Warhammer, the easiest way to do it is like start by getting them to play 3rd edition. Because 3rd edition's rule set was so bloody simple and so uncomplicated.
So basically what you're going to have to do, Tak, is take Rem with you to one of these club meetings. Like, here's Uncle Remleiz. Remleiz is going to talk about the 3rd edition for the next 2 hours, after which we're out of time. And if anyone's interested in playing after this, then I know that you're a hardcore fan.
Yeah, we're just going to give them a Space Marine to paint and tutorialize some 500-point games and see what happens.
Just get them play Kill Team. That'd be easier.
But you can't. This is the conversation we were having. Is like, do you start with Kill Team and Warcry and then work up to the core games? And no, because well, okay, AOS Warcry to AOS is nowhere near the same because they don't have hit and wound dice rolls the same way. They have knockback. They have a bunch of different fighter abilities and fighter cards and all that the other. Kill Team you could probably do, but the joy of Kill Team is the specialization of your individual fighters to do all these cool, unique things that they don't normally do because you're working on a mass squad battle. And then you have to unlearn all of those things. By the time you get to the base game, even if the stat lines look the same, you've still got a bunch of stuff to unlearn. So, plus going from operating 10 models to 4 units, it's a very different game.
So, if you wanted to play Kill Team with them, you would start with the base game and then say, but wait, there's more.
Yeah, so we've decided that we're going to start with base 40k, and that may lead into Kill Team and Sigmar, and eventually the kids will, well, in my mind, when I was at school, we ran our own Warhammer club. We taught ourselves, we ran it ourselves, and the school librarian just sort of stayed in the room while we did it. Didn't do any organisation, didn't learn the rules, didn't do anything, and just let the kids get on with it. And that's the point I'd like to get to, is where it's like, hello, there's your models, there's a table, go play, we're here if you need us. But, we'll see how we go.
I mean, it could be worse. You could be trying to get the kids to play Horus Heresy.
Point.
It's called Monopoly, dearie. It's called Monopoly.
Yeah. Oh, well, we'll see how it goes. I probably shouldn't have said any of that because it's not been put to the kids yet. The kids don't know.
Spoilers, kids. Now, kids, if you just heard that, you have to keep it as a secret from the others so that you can be, after that is actually announced, you could be like, yeah, you should listen to the podcast. I mean, I knew that already because I do. Yeah,
actually, I got told by one of my colleagues at work that they listened to the podcast. Yeah, I was doing something at school, and one of the teachers just knocked on my door. And I was like, "Well, I think I know you from somewhere. Not just because you share the same, we work in the same building, but I think I watch your podcast." I was like, "Oh, right."
Oh, hello.
Yeah, so that was a moment that happened.
Aww. So you've been recognised by 2 people now.
Gasp. So how many people have you been recognised by, Rem?
None.
Yet? we should still go to the Warhammer World or whatever that shop was called and be there like, yeah, just chilling and look at people looking at us like, I think I might know them from somewhere.
But neither of you have been in front of camera, so...
Indeed. That would be very confusing to people.
Yeah, but in fairness, Tag, like, one person recognised you just from your voice, so...
Yeah.
I mean, yes, this is a valid point. This is a very valid point. But if you're like sitting in Warhammer World, like it took me in Stormgrad a solid hour to realise that we were sharing a gaming hall. Like Stormgrad literally gave up his table for me, and it wasn't until an hour later we realised who we were.
Aww.
Literally, my mate went to Bugman's, went to the toilet or something, and I went over to their table. I was like, "Thank you for the table earlier. I think I know you." Like, yes, I think I do. It was just like, yeah, that was a thing that happened.
That's adorable.
It was a thing, that was for sure. I was very lucky because I hadn't booked a table. He'd booked 2 tables and just gave one up for me. It was very kind.
Very kind indeed.
Aye.
Adorable.
Agreed. Right. News-wise, there was a tiny nerf to Drakari. The paint engines aren't core anymore. Whoop. So yeah, that's a thing that they've done. They've done some tiny nerfs. And yeah, I think we've covered the news just about, I think.
And some breakfasts.
Yeah, and
gone on several tangents.
That's just a Tuesday.
Yeah, that's just an average Adeptus Podcastus, let's be fair.
Yeah, indeed.
So, Rem...
If you want to go about random tangents, do you know they got a new Sonic the Hedgehog cereal?
What?
What is it called? Power Rings?
As long as it's not called onion rings, I'm happy.
Well, fine, they are rings.
Sweet and honey-flavoured onion rings with Sonic marshmallows.
Honey-flavoured onion rings? Oh, God, that sounds wild.
Yeah, no.
I mean, if it was sweetened Cajun onion rings, you could go for that.
I mean, one has to have standards.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness.
So,
standards, what are those?
Yeah. Ram, I think when we left off last time, you just finished Twice Dead King 1 and we're going on to Twice Dead King 2, is that right?
Well, I was about to finish it, but I've now finished Twice Dead King 1. I haven't started 2 yet. But I can actually now talk about what actually happened right at the end of Twice Dead King 1.
Yay!
Not that much, because there wasn't that much left. But
yeah. So as I recall, long time previous, Imperium had showed up. Overlord Pharaoh of the Dynasty is a flayed one, and Old Tix is like taking power for himself type thing.
Basically, Joseris basically rescued Old Tix from the would-be Cryptek, and we left it off with the Imperium just starting their invasion of the world. So basically, the Imperium sends off wave after wave of guardsmen to start off with, who are described as being both the most religious and least religious in one. You know, the most religious fanatics who view this as an honour to try and soften up the foul Xenos, and the least religious are being punished for their lack of faith by being used to soften up the aliens. Necron mounting a stand defense, shooty, bang, bang, bang. And the Imperium starts deploying Titans, and Joseris basically turns to Old Tix and says, "You've already used your tachyon arrow, haven't you?" "Yes, I did." "When did you use it?" "During the War in Heaven." "What'd you use it on?" "An old worn spacecraft." "And what happened?" "I missed." "Oh dear." "Well, little brother, this is why you have to have patience. Observe." Joseris points at one of the Titans, clicks his fingers, and the Titan instantly blows up. Because tachyon arrow.
Oh, nice.
Granted, it's a one-shot weapon, but it's an impressive one-shot weapon in either case.
Problem is, there's more than one Titan.
Exactly,
Yeah.
But when they're far away and you can take one out instantly with just one click, it's a very huge blow to morale. But regardless, the battle goes on, and Joseris basically says to Old Tix, we're probably going to get overwhelmed, so I need you to get off world so you can preserve what's left of the dynasty. I'll hold them off. "You can't do that, brother. So I'm your older brother. Do it. Fuck off." And this is basically when the Imperium starts deploying Space Marines. Not entirely sure what chapter it is, because they're described as having red armor with a winged blood drop, which could be either Blood Angels or Angels Vermilion or Angels in Carmine. It's basically a Sanguinian chapter, we just don't know which one for certain.
Also, why did they start with the Guardsmen?
To soften up the blow, and to take out as many defenses as possible. Meat shield.
Yeah, I suppose. I was thinking of the Space Marines as being like first in, last, and the last line, but no, that's the Guard.
The Guard are literally Operation Human Shield. South Park, the movie reference for y'all.
Well done. Well done.
Oh, I thought you said hold on.
Hold on, I need to go see the movie now.
Yes. So as the Space Marines are advancing, Jaceres basically summons all of those Necroimmortals that he was polishing earlier on in the book. Literally just out of thin air, seeing, surprise, motherfucker. And the Immortals basically start glowing, and it turns out that Jaceres wasn't actually polishing them. He was engraving them with basically their life stories, because they can't no longer talk. So it's like a nice little symbolic gesture there. So basically they're glowing at all these Necron runes, basically telling their entire life stories on their entire bodies as they're shooting, the Space Marines and all that. But while that's happening, Oltix is basically going back to the palace to basically get to a transporter, because he can't just... There's going to be a ship waiting for him in orbit to take him away, but he can't transport straight away because his inbuilt teleporter has been ripped out by the would-be Cryptek. So Jaceres said, well, we got transport for cargo in the past, just use that. So he's made his way back to the palace. The entrance to the palace is blocked by rubble, and he's like, well, fuck. So he's basically sitting there all, dejected and all that, and then he realises, oh, I just forgot. There's a landing pad at the top of the palace with an escape craft. Maybe I can use that. So he starts climbing up.
I was going to say, he's got to climb up, doesn't he?
Yeah, so he's climbing up the top of the palace, and as he does, he sees a little transport waiting there. He also sees a bunch of Lich Guard and his father, who's now, a flayed one.
Oh, no.
And as he approaches, one of the Lich Guard basically holds up his hand saying, stop. And Elder's thinking, am I going to have to fight all these Lich Guard? I really don't want to. But it turns out the Lich Guard no longer wish to serve their king, because their king is basically, not there. He's basically just, complete fucked. So Oltix says, so who do you wish to serve? And Lich Guard say, you. So
that's convenient.
It's very convenient. Well, he is the prince, so. So Oltix kills his father. His father basically doesn't get reanimated or transported back for repairs because he's too far corrupted by the Flay virus. And as he does so, he gets a whole bunch of new displays on his heads-up display, and he's thinking, what the fuck is all this? And then he realises it's all the things he gets for when he's king, which makes him realise, oh shit, my older brother's dead. Because there's no way I'd be crowned king if he was still alive.
Yeah, I was just thinking earlier, hang on, he's second in line, so why the Lich Guard asking for him, not his brother? Exactly. But yeah, that makes sense.
Oh dear.
So they get into the transport, which is basically like a giant upscaled night scythe. And they go into orbit, and the ship's waiting for him. Is actually the ship called the Acropo, I think it's called. If I probably pronounced it wrong. But it's the one from his world, during his exile, the one that was owned by the Admiral, the Razor, the one who was hiding the flare curse that he was also affected with.
Okay.
And it's like, don't worry, I'm here to rescue you. Oh, good, bring us aboard. So now what we're going to do is well, we're kind of fucked because we're surrounded on all sides by Imperial ships. Oh fuck, what's that coming out of the warp just now? It's an Emperor-class battleship.
Oh no. Good night, Betsy.
Awkward situations are awkward.
It's like, well, we can't fight her. We're taking heavy fire. I know. Let's pretend that we're suffering catastrophic damage, vent some gas, and turn off all the power, make it look like we're, been knocked out, and have the ship drift down back into orbit of the world. So it looks like we're about to crush the entire Imperial army beneath the weight of our own ship. So as they're doing that, the Emperor-class battleship launches Ursa's Claws to basically stop it from... the big Ursa's Claws... No, I know what they are,
but what?
I'm getting to that. It's launching the Ursa's Claws to basically bring the ship out of orbit so it doesn't crush the Imperial troops on the planet because, we don't want to lose most of our bloody ground forces to one crashing ship. So basically they do it just to try and get out of the way. And as they're doing it, Ultix basically commands the engines to basically go full burst, ramming speed, and they ram up through the Emperor-class battleship, shearing off the eagle-headed prow sculpture as they burst through, and they basically burst to light speed, or the Necron equivalent, and the Admiral on board the ship goes, Necron ship goes, that'll be a fine trophy.
So they did a Holdo maneuver.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. And then they go off into space. The end. To be continued in part 2.
Right. Yeah, that happened.
Quite a lot of things, indeed.
He said,
Yeah.
Right at the end, not a lot happened. That was a lot.
I say not a lot happened because I finished talking about it in like 10 minutes.
True, but Thanos snapping an Emperor, Thanos snapping a Titan. I know it wasn't a Thanos snap, but you know what I mean. It may as well have been one for as far as the Imperium were concerned.
Yeah.
Ursus claws on Imperial ships. Which,
And they never described it as being Ursus claws as such, but basically like it's a whole bunch of chains being launched from the ship, spearing through the Necron ship. So it's basically Ursus claws.
yeah, which is interesting because I always sort of assumed that, given that it was such a world-eater thing, that they got retired or banned.
I think it's just an extremely rare thing to have in general.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then in Holdo maneuver to finish.
I was always reminded by the Holdo move, like the scene that flashed in front of my eyes was straight from that movie. I was like, oh, but this could be a bit cooler.
Yeah, because at first I thought they were going to do it Orc style and just ram through and just do like the cool dudes don't look at explosions thing as they drive through. But no, they went to near light speed, so...
And stole the eagle-headed prow off the ship in the process.
As you do.
As one does.
It got stuck on the ship. It's like, might as well keep it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, they're not going to need it.
No, they're not.
No.
Well, I've managed to plough my way through the entirety of the Wolf Time in a weekend, actually. So I was on a train for like 5 hours, so I just read the whole book.
Neat.
And a lot happened. It was quite interesting. So where we left off, as I recall, I'm going to be here a while, by the way. Where we left off was we'd just met Gaius, a new Primaris Marine from the Unnumbered Suns made of Space Wolf DNA. And he'd been doing some reading on the Space Wolves, as you do.
As you do.
And they are diverted to Fenris as part of the Torchbearer fleet going to Fenris. They end up taking a bit of a diversion in order to rescue some Space Wolves led by Crom Dragongaze. And Gaius and his squad, his intercessor squad, get adopted by a squad of Grey Hunters, which was quite an interesting first meeting of kind of what I imagine every French person was like when I was talking to them while I lived there. Of like, they're really trying to speak our language, but it sounds so wrong being spoken by anyone who isn't like from round here. Like someone trying to speak Fenrisian who is not Fenrisian. Type thing.
Yeah.
Which was quite a fun conversation. And so Crom goes back to Fenris with this squad, sneaks them in, to be honest, has to sneak them in, because when the Torchbearer fleet arrive, I think it's either Ulrich or Aryak or Logan himself comes on the comm to the Torchbearer fleet and says, "Park up, do not move, or we will fire."
Wonderful response from anyone when you get somewhere. Like,
Fine,
hello.
how do you do from the Space Wolves? And to be fair, there's a lot going on with the Wolves themselves. They've just been basically humiliated at an engagement on a Space Hulk by Orcs, where they've been driven off by a weird boss, essentially, with a superpowered staff. And a lot of the book, kind of like how the Dawn of Fire series doesn't ever have Gilliman be the focus, Logan Grimnar's the same, where it always focuses on Aryak Rockfist and Jarl Stormcaller and how they orbit around Logan as he goes through trying to reconcile, do we accept the Primaris or not?
Yeah.
And Logan is being a grumpy old man about everything And it's just like, no. And so he has negotiations with the Astartes, with the Custodes, and it's just, no, not having it. But in the end, they do end up taking the Space Wolf Primaris on as part of their attempt to reclaim this Space Hulk from the Orcs, because Logan swore an oath. They get there the long way round. I'm skipping over a lot of details because I'm not going to go through the entire play-by-play. The interesting plot threads to follow are Gaius's plot and the plot of one of the founding four of the Historitors and the custodian who accompanies him as a way of trying to... They're looking for information about what happened on Githalamore. Mm-hmm. That's why they're sent, because in Gate of Bones... Githalamore is used as the launching ground for a weapon called Bucharest's Gift. Now, for those who don't know, Cardinal Bucharest was the leader of the Plague of Unbelief, which also invaded Fenris at one point. So the Historitors are there to catalogue what the Space Wolves know of Bucharest to see if they can find some origins for this weapon. As it is, it's essentially Bucharest's brooch, which is just super corrupted, providing power supply, but... they are not aware of that at the time. And the custodian Vicellen, or Vicellen, whichever you prefer to pronounce it, is having a lot of conversations with the Tribune, Colquan, the shield captain, or the Tribune who's in charge of the custodian's attachment to Guilliman. And the two of them go through scenarios on how to kill Guilliman.
Ooh.
And they conclude, because Colquan has concluded, because they run a scenario of Guilliman is in the throne room. Do you remember how Guilliman goes into the throne room, stays with the Emperor for a day and a night, or whatever it was?
Yeah.
They run that scenario, but Guilliman uses the sword to strike the Emperor. And they realise that Colquan already knows this, but Vicellen realises no matter how fast he moves... No matter how strong he is, Guilliman is faster. He will always, from that position, kill the Emperor if the Custodes wait. And when Colquan runs it, Colquan just attacks preemptively and sort of tries to demonstrate to Vicellen the only way we're going to kill Guilliman is a preemptive strike.
Goodness.
And they go into a very, very interesting conversation later in the book about the Space Wolves, Guilliman, etc. And I'm going to actually read directly from the conversation because I sent it to Rem. If Logan Grimnar feels betrayed from within the Space Wolves, he'll react poorly. Guilliman is waiting for provocation to allow him to respond more forcefully, and we should ensure he is not presented with any, as a way to try and force Vicellen to force Grimnar to take the Primaris, to not give Guilliman an excuse to squash the wolves. To which Vicellen goes, speculation. If Guilliman was to turn on the Emperor, the Space Wolves will be one of his first opponents. The history of the 10,000, that's the Custodes, with the 11th Legion is a reminder of that. So the Space Wolves, who are already sort of suspected of having killed the 11th, are also did it with the Custodes. And then Colquan goes on to say, we don't know what Call has put in the heads of the Marines. Who knows what controls he seeded into their minds as their educator machines fed their brains. And as the history you refer to proves more than anything, loyalty to the Emperor can be directed to ill ends by manipulation and lies, implying that the 11th Legion fell by having their loyalty misdirected or twisted in a way that no longer served the Emperor, turned them against the Emperor perhaps, or used loyalty to the Emperor as an excuse to commit atrocities that they had to be censured for. I don't know.
It makes you wonder, though, if that was the case, like, what atrocities could they have been committed that they could have committed that caused them to be censured when the Night Lords were around getting away with everything?
And the Thousand Sons.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, Space Marine Legion murdering an entire population, skinning them alive, and displaying their skins on big sticks. Nah, that's fine. That's fine. No censure needed.
Yeah, it's one of those of we'll never know the details in full, but I like the fact that Gav threw that in there as just a, a bit of history. And there's a conversation between Vikellen and the Historitor, which is Mudia. I'd forgotten his name, but I've gone back. And it is genuinely, this human, this unmodified human, has one of the biggest sets of balls I have ever seen on a human. Like, just listen to what he says to a custodian. I know where you come from. I was born into the high Terran nobility that threw their sons at the 10,000, hoping one of their bloodline will become a custodian. Those bloodlines that the geneticists find so pure and inviting are nothing more than millennia of inbreeding. It is claimed that every custodian is an artifact of the greatest minds of Terra. What custodians really are, what you are, is a product of concentrated privilege and alchemical advantage forbidden to all others. You are exceptional because ancient law dictates that you be the exception, but you are not real. Space Marines live as humans until their puberty. You were just carefully selected genetic tissue in the shape of a newborn, rebuilt into something else, with nothing of the experience or upbringing of even the most high-ranking family of Terra. Freaking ouch! Just call every custodian the product of inbreeding. To a custodian's face.
Ooh, that is quite harsh.
That man.
To which the custodian responds, you don't understand the gift of being human. Had you been sent to the custodians, this person that you are would not exist. Your data would live on as a custodian to be awakened at some point, but the custodian you would have been would be no resemblance to you. We are constructed from every piece of DNA to every neuron. We are conjured into existence by techno-artifice left by the Emperor. The soul that bonds us to the universe and custodians to the Emperor cannot be made from a compound in a tube, any more than a cogitator can conjure psychic lightning. And so a child must have that animus, but that is all it is useful for. Had you been rejected from the Custodes, well, incompatible genetic material goes to the Mechanicus for vat breeding. There would be 1,000 pseudo-yous populating the forges of Mars, but not one of them would be you. It's like, you're not human. You don't understand what it's like to be human. You say that like it's a bad thing. It's such a fantastic conversation.
Yeah, that sounds like goodness gracious. I want to read that now.
Oh, and then the perfect punchline. If I understand you right, Custodian, there is nothing random about your development. Yes, we are created within very strict parameters. Then that means someone, somewhere, actually thought it would be a good idea to make Stratarchus Tribune Colquan a total arsehole. You just called the boss of the custodians on the Indomitus Crusade a total arsehole and said that was by design.
The balls.
Yeah, I just find that conversation, whilst it's completely irrelevant to the plot, is just brilliant. I love that conversation. But the actual plot is Gaius's plot, because Gaius and his first wolves, as they take on the name for themselves as a pack, well, they're not gelling all that well with the Space Wolves. They're trying, but they don't understand this pack mentality, this idea of that deep understanding of growing up, not together, but, well, together, being Fenrisian and relying on your tribe and hunting as a pack, understanding each other implicitly with no need for orders or routines. You just know what such and such is going to do, and you respond accordingly. So they know this Grey Hunter is going to do this, and that Grey Hunter is going to do that, so you do this, and you complement each other like that, and they can't really understand it. And then Fenris's orbital defense lasers power up.
Ooh.
And as a result, the Space Wolves scramble to turn them off because, as it turns out, it's a Prosperine cultists.
Oh.
Well, cultists of the Thousand Suns. It doesn't necessarily have to be Prosperines, but that's how they refer to them.
I was going to say, how did he get there?
Hello, I was here all along.
Well, bear in mind that this is not long after the...
It's Caspar Hauser. He's waiting revenge.
But it's not that long after Magnus's invasion of Fenris. It stands to reason that corrupted Fenrisian cultists could be around.
Ah, true.
So they're sort of in a predicament of, if the orbital laser fires, it will destroy the shield bearers, the torchbearer ship. If that happens, then Guilliman will probably end up firebombing Fenris into the floor. So Gaius goes in, and they manage to turn it off, but there are some huge arguments between the Firstborn and the Primaris about how to handle it, etc., etc. And in the end, Gaius absolutely says some things he absolutely should not say. I can't repeat most of them because there's just a lot of different insults that don't really mean anything out of context. But he's probably like, you've been taking the piss out of me non-stop since we got here.
Yeah.
You are savages. You are feral. You are not the Space Wolves. We are the future, and you will do one type thing. It doesn't quite go like that, but he chews them out and is like, yeah, well, you can't stay. And so what he does is he jumps out of the gunship. He jumps out of the gunship, essentially to prove that he can survive Fenris. He doesn't do the trial of Morkai because he's already a full-grown Space Marine. He does something harder. He lands in the Fenrisian tribe lands rather than the area around the Fang and in Assaheim, and tries to make his way back to the Fang as almost a sort of a F you, no, I am a beast and I will prove it to you. He then kills a Blackmane, that super-powered wolf that Ragnar instantly became a wolf lord for killing. But it kills him as well. Well, it would, were he not found by a group of Fenrisian tribespeople who were on pilgrimage to the Fang because one of their number had started having visions, very similar to the visions that Niall Stormcaller was having, actually. So they were on a journey, an expedition, a pilgrimage to the Fang, if you like, and they happened upon Gaius and nursed him back to health.
Like, oh, hello.
Well, to be fair, correction, they stopped him dying and his healing did the rest. And he joins them and helps them make their way to the Fang, whilst also nearly dying at the hands of a Kraken in the process. But he makes it back. Doesn't really want to face the wolves again after everything he said, but he does. And the epilogue is him running. He is essentially a wolf lord now, but not for the wolves. He essentially seems to be either a chapter master or a captain of a Space Wolves successor chapter of Primaris, running their own Trials of Morkai on their Space Hulk that they conquered off the Orcs. Because they haven't fully cleaned it out, they use it now as the base of operations for a fleet-based chapter that Gaius First Wolf is now chapter master of, and they use the Space Hulk as their Trial of Morkai, which is quite a nice way to end it.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's now been over a week since I read it, so I don't know all the details, but it's a really, really hard, maybe it's just because I was sat on a train for 5 hours, but I couldn't put it down. And I kept sending screenshots to Remleiz of different conversations. There's one that I haven't talked about of a perception of Guilliman, of how he copes by just focusing on the minutiae for 5 minutes of like, all right, 5 minutes, I'm writing this letter, nothing else. And just how he copes and things like that. And it was really good. For someone who doesn't like Space Wolves, and I really don't like Space Wolves, I really enjoyed it. So, well done, Gav Thorpe. Good stuff.
Fair enough.
That sounds bloody amazing.
Yeah, and it's one of those of like, you get the payoff of, if you've read Avenging Sun and Gate of Bones, you actually do notice things like the Bucharest thing and the repeated returns to Guilliman's command chambers etc. Oh, and also Guilliman comes to Fenris and bows and kneels before Logan Grimnar, and they have a chat in the Great Feast Hall and all this, that, and the other, but Logan's still a pissy old man. But
do they have hash browns?
I've skipped over a lot of details, particularly the Logan and Guilliman stuff, and focus more on the Gaius and Vikellen stuff, but it was good. You benefit from reading the other Dawn of Fire books, but you absolutely don't have to. So it's something that
How would you rate this in comparison to the other two Dawn of Fire books?
It is a lot more character driven than Gate of Bones, which was built around the battle for Gathalamor, but a lot more focused than Avenging Sun, which, as we recall, jumped all over the place to its own detriment, where the plot threads never seemed to coalesce. Like, it was all focused on one Primaris Space Wolf and his squad, one Historitor as part of the Torchbearer fleet, everything surrounding Logan Grimnar, still with the Wolves, and a Fenrisian tribe, all of which come together at the end, but they start to converge the storylines earlier with Gaius meeting the tribe, and the Historitors arrive at Fenris who were with Gaius, then they split and come back together, and Logan is separate, and then they join that in. Again, Guilliman, who's doing a thing on his own, then arrives as well. The plot threads that are there are set up, split, rejoin, new things come in and then leave, but it flows more cohesively than I think Avenging Sun did. So I think it is better than Avenging Sun. As for Gate of Bones, I think it depends what you want. If you want character drama and world building, read Wolf Time. If you want fight scenes and building it around a conflict, it's set in a battlefield with the knights, the custodes, the guard, etc., then you probably prefer Gate of Bones. It depends what you're in the mood for.
Fair enough.
I'm not sure what I'm going to read next now that I'm on half term. Let me have a reminder of what's in my library. I'll have a see what I'm going to read next.
You can always try and read Indomitus, if you've got that.
I don't. I think I'm going to read Volpone Glory, actually. I'm going to read that by Nick Kime.
Oh, the one about the Blue Bloods?
Yeah, I'm going to try reading that.
Fair enough. I'm going to make a start on Rain next. So,
yeah, Twice Dead King 2.
Yeah, it just makes sense. I've got it just came out and I've just got it, so just finished the first one, might as well do the second.
Yeah, makes sense. And hopefully before long, Black Library's 2022 celebration will release all its books, things like the Sigismund book, Kragnos, and the like.
No, on, like at the Black Library celebration of it, they'll reveal. By the way, Twice Dead King Book 3 is coming out next month. I mean, let's be honest, with how fast Nate Krauss been putting them out, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. He's basically, he probably writes like, in Ghost in the Shell? You know, that guy the guy whose hands, like, his fingers split in half and they split in half again and then half again and they start typing stupidly fast on the computer. That's how I imagine he writes.
Like, no sleep, no rest, no food, no water, just stories.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to get Nate back on before long and have once you finish Rain and sort of maybe, like we did with the Gazgul book, try and unpick it a bit. But that's for the future, I suspect.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Am I the only one who's going to just read classic literature?
Yes.
Because, like, at the moment, like, I'm borrowing a book from my friend, and it's called The Black Tulip by Alexandre Dumas, and I should have already returned it, but I haven't had the time to read, but now I do, so I think I'm going to start with that.
Fair enough.
Sounds like a plan.
I can give you an update if you wish, like, oh my god, these characters.
If you really want to, feel free.
I'll be here like, yeah, I'm popping into this podcast. These characters are my favourites at the moment. And in the next podcast, like, oh my god, someone died, or something along those lines. Haven't read the book yet, so I have no idea what to expect.
Funny enough, talking about like non-Warhammer related books briefly, there is one book that I've been meaning to get around reading, I've just never had the time. I've been trying to get time to read the Quintaglio Ascension trilogy, because the premise alone just sounds awesome.
What's the premise? Because that sounds familiar, but I'm not sure if I know it.
T-Rexes in space.
Okay, I'm sold. that was a good pitch.
Oh, it's available on Audible, so I could always get the audiobooks if need be.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. Audible is an option as well. But I won't do the, reading one book and listening to another thing, because then I will have no idea what's going on in either one of those. Also, Tack, I hope you saw I drew another picture.
I did, yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, Naerina's on a roll with the pencil tonight.
Yes, I am. Because I was like, yes, this needs to be a thing now. Angry Tactica all the way.
So be sure to follow Naerina on Twitter so you can see all of her artwork. So I'm sure she'll post these on there later.
Well, when this episode comes out, absolutely.
So, shall we move on to some questions?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. There's not a huge amount, to be completely honest. I think it's because I put the podcast out at the wrong time. Because I had rendering issues, it ended up coming out 12 hours late, so most people missed sort of the first release, which was annoying. But we are where we are.
Yeah, and that happens sometimes. But you informed people about that?
I tried, but obviously people on YouTube versus people on Twitter is...
Yeah, true.
Oh, no, I stand correct. No, it's fine. Right, so that's a science question. I can't calculate that quickly.
Is it to calculate the airspeed of an unladen swallow?
I'm going to say that the answer is 3.
No, the answer is, what do you mean, an African or European swallow?
Right. To that one, yeah. Also, remember your favourite colours.
So, blue. No, wait.
Yellow!
So, is the capital of Syria.
Oh, I should watch that one again.
You've lost me.
Tack, please tell me you've seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Please.
I have seen the memes and funny bits of Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Okay. Right. You need to go and watch Monty Python and the Holy Grail. You need to go and watch... What was the other film we mentioned earlier? They hadn't watched? Quite a few.
And the Black Sheep.
Black Sheep, yeah. Oh, did you ever get around to watching Akira?
Remleiz, I've been working non-stop for the past 6 weeks. I've barely had time to make videos, never mind anything else.
Yeah, we have 2 teachers over here. Give us a rest.
I literally was editing the podcast at midnight on Wednesday morning. It was that bad.
Yeah, like Wednesday, goodness gracious. Like, my mom mode kicks in like, now you should sleep a bit more, dearie.
In fairness, when I first asked about Akira, it was last year, so...
Yeah, and the new term started
during
on
the school year.
The January term started on January the 4th, so...
Yeah.
Anyway, let's do some questions.
Like 2 teachers here like, what are you talking about? We don't have the time for it.
Well, you got half term now, you got no excuse now.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but then I have to buy it. So, anyway, question. Has there ever...
stream it.
All right.
You were saying?
Yes. Have there ever been instances of a knightly house accepting the services of a Freeblade in terms of them actively joining? So a Freeblade giving up the life of a Freeblade to join a house? And if not, how likely do you think it would be?
I have no idea. My knowledge on Imperial Knights is very, very, very basic. It's not a strong point of mine. As to how likely it could be, I would imagine it'll probably be on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, I'd expect like someone who left the household and then came back, yes, but some random off-worlder. The knightly houses seem quite insular from what little I do know from doing the reading before. They seem to be quite like family-driven and quite insular, so accepting outsiders doesn't really seem their way.
That would make a good story, though.
It would.
So people who write these things, chop, get on with it.
And speaking of novel requests, would you like a novel where Trazin the Infinite simply goes over his collection and says what it is and how and where he got each item in it?
I would like an audio drama of it.
Yeah, I think, just reading it would probably end up being quite dull compared to having it narrated.
Yeah, like, I think that would be a story honestly worth of having someone else narrate it, because it is a monologue, and reading monologues are like...
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's boring, but not my cup of tea.
Yeah, just make it like a vlog. Is the sound recording unit on? Good. Welcome to the Archive of Solemn Days. Today I'm going to be taking you through the human section of the exhibits, cataloguing everything I've collected for you for the records of the future, just in case anything catastrophic were to happen to this facility or to my good self.
Welcome to my stream.
Please do not touch anything, as we are going to be showing you all of these cool things. But do remember to leave a praise rune and leave any thoughts you have on the collection at your convenience. And I will make sure to have a note to see if there's anything else I can collect for you based on your requests. So we'll start with our most recent edition. This is Castellan General Usaka Creed of the Cadians. I collected this one at the Planet of Cade. I'm going to stop now.
Please don't. That would have been so awesome. Okay, now we have the main voice actor for this audio drama.
Okay.
Just like you'll have to just do it now. Sorry.
Just like turn you into a vlogger.
Like, welcome back to my channel. You have to do it. Sorry. You have no other choice.
Someone's got to write it first.
Rem will write it. Right? Like, work with it. Work with me here, Remleiz. We're going to have to do it.
Oh, dear. Right. That's an interesting question. Do we know whether the Primarch's names, or do we know any of the true names of the Primarchs, as in the names the Emperor meant for them to have, and they would have had they not been scattered and picked up new names? For example, Robert Gilliman was a name given on Macragge, and Leman Russ was given on Fenris. What were the true names of the Primarchs, if we know them?
Well, Comrade Kurz's true name was Comrade Kurz. Because remember, like, Comrade Kurz, I come to take you home. That's not my name, Father. I am Night Haunter.
Point.
Yeah.
Perturabos was also his ruiner, because he just knew, no, my name is Perturabo. I just know my name is Perturabo.
Yeah. But someone like Magnus, for example, like, I don't know if Magnus was his name or was a given name, or he got it from communication with the Emperor.
I've caught the red.
It might have been his true name, considering, like, Magnus apparently was talking with the Emperor while he was in his stasis pod, apparently.
Though some speculate that was Zinch.
One of them has to be called Stan or something like that. Like, this is my boy Stan, but now he's called something else.
Horus was a name given to him because he had no name when he was growing up on Cathonia, and basically he earned the name after, killing a bunch of other gangers.
Yeah, Dawn was a given name as well. Rogel Dawn was a given name.
So was Mortarion.
Yeah. Fulgrim?
I'm pretty sure that was a given name as well.
Corvus Corax definitely was.
Yeah.
Vulcan, I don't know.
Not too sure, no. Sanguinius was a given name because he was from the tribe of the blood, so...
Yeah, Ferrus Manus was a given name, I believe.
Yeah.
It was like a nickname the other Medusans gave him, because I just like, hell, it's a guy walking around with iron hands. Let's call him Iron Hand.
Yeah.
Because we lack originality.
Yes, and it should be pointed out, he's Iron Hand, not Iron Man. It should be pointed out, Ferrus Manus does not mean Iron Man.
I said Iron Hand.
I know, I'm pointing it out for the benefit of the viewers. I know that's what you said, but some of the viewers were like, no, Ferrus Manus means Iron Man, surely. Because Manus is right there, isn't it? But no, Latin.
But there's a freaking movie called Manus and the Hands of Fate or something along those lines.
Ferrus Manus, the Hands of Iron. There you go.
Alfarius, God knows. Corvus Corax, I think I've mentioned that one.
Ridiculous.
Lorgar, given.
Yeah, because Lorgar means like bringer of rain in Colchizian.
Lionel Johnson was given.
He blessed the rains
Jagatai
down in
Khan
Africa.
was given. Lehman Russ was given.
Yeah.
I think...
So it looks like the only ones who got their true names were Perturabo and Comrade Kurz.
Off the top of our heads, certainly, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Right.
Angron was again, because Angron means Child of the Mountain.
Yeah, I knew we were missing one. I couldn't put my finger on which planet we were missing. Right. Which implant gives a Space Marine long life?
To be honest, I think it's a combination of all of them, to be honest.
The brain keeps them alive.
Because, like, you got the organ that aids in, like, muscle growth, the organ that aids in, like, strengthening the skeleton, the organ that aids in, strengthening the immune system and stuff like that.
And the more regenerative ones as well will also help.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's not just one organ. It's basically it's a side effect of all the organs combined.
Agreed.
Because what organs do you have? You have the the secondary heart, the osmodular, which basically does ossification of skeleton, Biscopia, which stimulates muscle growth. Ignore the bloody Primaris ones from there.
Secondary heart, obviously.
Yeah. Hemastamen, which basically increases hemoglobin in the blood.
The third lung.
Organ. I'm going one by one. Laraman's organ, which basically helps with healing. Yeah. Catalepsy no aids in basically acting without sleep. Promenor beats neutralize poison. Homophagia, which can learn from eating other people's flesh. Multilung oculobe, which improves eyesight. Lyman's ear improves hearing and makes them immune to dizziness and motion sickness. Susan membrane stasis. Melanchromic controls melanin. Ulitic kidney to filter blood. Neuroglottis basically improves their sense of taste. Mucinoid, which basically causes them to produce wax in their skin. And the Betcher's gland and the prochenoids and the black carapace, which is added later, yes.
Yeah, I think probably if you had to nail it down to one, it would be the Laramans, but it is a combination.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the human body. If like thinking about what sort of intestines we have, all of them are important. For survival, etc.
Agreed. What was the worst outcome for the galaxy? The cybernetic revolt or the birth of Slaanesh?
A bloody good question.
I think for certain races, it depends on how psychic you were.
So for the Eldari, obviously the birth of Slaanesh. For humanity, the cybernetic revolt.
Yeah, this says the galaxy. But it's worth pointing out that in both scenarios, those were the dominant species in the galaxy at the time. So they were both horrendous for the galaxy as a whole, but the Eldari didn't have AI. Whereas humans and other species are psychic potential and will have been affected by the birth of Slaanesh more than not having AI.
I'm pretty sure the Eldari were still the dominant race even during the cybernetic revolt.
Yeah, the cybernetic revolt was what? M20-ish? M25?
Yeah, because by that point in time, the Eldari Empire basically took up pretty much the entire galactic north, essentially.
Yeah, true. So yeah, it'll have to be the birth of Slaanesh. Surely.
Yeah, but again, if you're a human, cybernetic revolt, because that nearly drove humanity to extinction. So
this is a very valid point.
Yeah, point of view, but both suck, but Slaanesh.
I'm just saying, and considering that we are the humans, we have to basically go by the human perspective, essentially.
Yeah.
What was worse for humanity? Cybernetic revolt, without question.
Agreed. And speaking of humans, has there ever been a human cult that we are aware of that worshipped other warp entities than chaos gods? For example, the Eldari gods, Gork and Mork, etc.
Not in 40k that I'm aware of. I know in Age of Sigmar there were humans who worship Sotek, the Lizardman god.
There's a comment that says Digger Knobs.
They didn't actually worship Gork and Mork. That's a common misconception. What they did, they basically the diggers. It's the diggers, not the Digger Knobs. A Digger Knob is a leader of a digger tribe.
I know, but meme.
Yes. the Diggers were fascinated by Orc culture, but there is nothing to suggest they actually worship the Orc gods. Because...
They were nerds.
Because they were so isolated from the Orcs. Their only contact with the Orcs, essentially, was when the Orcs tried to enslave them. And then the Necrons turned up and, blew them apart. Because the Necrons are protecting the Diggers for some unknown reason.
There's also someone, apparently, Vulcan burned out a human cult worshipping Eldari at some point.
Oh, yes!
Really?
Yeah, that was in the Promethean Sun novella. That had the infamous scene of Vulcan setting a child on fire, yeah.
Oh.
Right, moving on.
Yeah, it was the Salamanders and the Night Lords working together. Talk about a weird combination, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and you had the other Salamanders saying, don't do it, and then Vulcan just sets this Eldari child on fire.
Eesh.
Because, because xenophobia.
Yes. For the record, we do not condone the conflagration of any individual, least of all children, and even if they belong to other alien species. We do not condone this in any way. It should be made clear. Don't cancel us.
Exactly.
So,
go for defenestration instead.
That's what we do with you. That was a reference I didn't expect to make, but it has been made.
I found the excerpt. Bloody hell, this didn't load properly. But yeah, I found the excerpt of the scene where Vulcan sets fire to the small child.
Right. Whilst you dig that up, so
there you go.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, the Eldar child raised their hands higher, defiant
No.
Deary, there might be children listening and they don't want to hear about.
Time and place.
Yeah.
Right.
The teacher's saying no.
Yeah, time and place. Right. Staying with... Well, actually not staying with anything. Moving along. Is it possible that the Grey Knights are not made from the Emperor's DNA? Instead, they're made from Malcadors.
How?
I mean, agreed, but Malcador obviously took the Knights Errant to Titan leading to the founding of the Grey Knights. But it's one of those things of like, if you're using the Emperor's genetic material, why does that make an Astartes rather than a Custodian and yada, yada, yada? I don't know. Just question was thrown, thought I'd throw it out there.
I don't think it'd be Malcador. I think it'd be the Emperors purely on the basis that with the existence of the proto-Space Marines, the ones who were created before the creation of the Primarchs, Space Marines like Leetu, for example, who had their gene seed made only from DNA extract from the Emperor and Erda. I think that the Grey Knights were created in basically... The Grey Knights basically use the same gene seed stocks as the Proto-Marines, essentially.
Which are not the Thunder Warriors, to be clear.
No.
Didn't think so.
No.
But the Thunder Warriors don't come from the Primarchs either.
No. I mean, Thunder Warriors had their own Primarchs, but Primarch, as far as Thunder Warriors is concerned, was nothing more than a military rank. A Primarch had no genetic advantage over the others. It was just a rank. Yeah,
like there was Proto-Astartes, and then the Thunder Warriors, which are also Proto-Astartes, and then you get actual Astartes.
I think the order of creation was the Thunder Warriors, and then it was the Proto-Astartes, and then the Primarchs, and then the Astartes.
Right. Checks out.
Yeah.
Because the modern day Astartes, they were created using gene seed harvested from the Primarchs, but the original Space Marines were created before the Primarchs, so their gene seed was derived from the Emperor and Erda specifically.
Yeah. Now we have a question that, well, I can definitely answer. Do we know if the Farsight Enclaves are legitimately doing anything aside from getting new tech that the Empire is developing? Because it seems like ever since they were put there, they've literally done nothing aside from bail the Empire out that one time. Well, in the new Tau Codex, there is no law on the matter.
You could just say...
How frustrating.
New codices, there is no law.
Like, there is some new bits, like fragments, I guess. But in terms of moving the plot forward, like, nothing. And it feels like Farsight is It's interesting how the codex is laid out, and this is really nerd nitpicking. But in the old codex, you had Commander, Shadow Sun, Farsight. They were the first 3 lore entries. Now it's Shadow Sun at the front and Farsight at the end. It's almost like they're trying to just shufty Farsight off to one side, which I'm hoping leads to a Farsight Enclave supplement, but I'm not holding my breath.
It's Farsight in the Codex.
Yes.
Then it's not getting a supplement then.
I know. They've got their own sept. They've got their own sept rules. They've got a unique relic with the Talisman of Arthur Smolok. Like, they're just going to sit in the Codex, but it feels like Farsight is like... Farsight was the character that got you in the door with the tower, and now he's just hanging around, and they can't get rid of him, and so he just sits there while Shadow Sun gets all the plaudits, because the ethereal sympathizers. Sorry. And finally, what is an underrated guardsman regiment that, in your opinion, you would like to see get more of a spotlight?
Savlar Chem Dogs.
Shout. That's a shout.
Yeah.
I mean,
when was the last time you heard anything regarding to Savlar?
Yeah, the old line would have been Krieg, but obviously they've just had the kill team stuff. And all that, yeah. I'm going to go Elysians. I know it's classic, but Elysian drop troops, because they just sound so different and so fun.
And I'm here like, oh my god, what sort of things do they have in the Astra Militarum? Wait, my brain, wait.
You could always go for the Praetorians.
Yeah, one could. And
their snazzy red uniforms, their pith helmets, and big mustaches and cups of tea.
Well, of course, lovely, absolutely marvellous. Just for the hoot of it, I don't know if this already exists, but I would like to have a story about the Katakan or Katachan, we don't know how to pronounce it, jungle troops, and have them explain how the word is pronounced.
I mean, the Katachan are getting a book very soon. They are getting a novel. I forget exactly. I can see the cover, but I can't remember its name.
It's called Katachan Devil.
Katachan Devil, yeah. So there is a Katachan book coming out very soon.
I hope they explain it. As a person who lives to read, or reads out loud things, pronunciation is a very important thing, especially because I'm not a native speaker. So I'm here like, please tell me stuff.
Just be grateful you don't listen to one of Games Workshop's multiple pronunciations for Rabute Gilliman. Rabute Gilliman, Rabute
Gilliman.
The weirdest one I've heard is Rabute Ghoulie Man, which is
I've heard that one.
Which was from one of the Garrow audio dramas for some reason.
Robbie Golo Man.
Like, how did you get Ghoulie Man?
Yeah,
I can understand the Rabute confusion, but Ghoulie Man?
A Gilliman, like...
Yeah, Gwilliman I'd understand.
Like, grabbed by the ghoulies, or something. Grabbed by the ghouliemans.
Yeah.
I want to draw a ghoul version of Gilliman.
By the way, leave a comment below if you remember Grabbed by the Ghoulies.
I've always said with Gilliman, it's reboot because there's no accent on the E. If it was Rabute, they put an accent on the E because it's clearly Latinized French inspired in terms of his name. So you'd put an accent on the E, and they haven't, so it's Reboot.
Unless it is Italian.
But then it wouldn't be Reboot. Would it be Rebute or would it be Rebute at that point?
Rebute.
It's a Rebute Gilliman. I know that. Oh God! Cut that!
No, we're keeping it. We're keeping it.
My students will destroy me. Cut that.
No! It was... Don't destroy our darling little tactic over here.
I just want to say that it's neither French, Italian, or Latin. It's Macraggian.
I know, but they're inspired by the Roman Empire, so roll with it.
So if there's a Mac over there, should it be with a Scottish accent then?
Just because it's inspired, but it doesn't mean they use the exact same pronunciations.
I know, but we can only go on the frame of reference we have in front of us.
Yeah.
Look at Caesar's Legion in Fallout. It's Caesar or Caesar? Which one is it?
Everybody apart from the man himself says Caesar. Because that was the accepted English pronunciation at the time of the Legion's...
Except everyone in Fallout is calling him Kaiser.
Everyone in the Legion is calling him Kaiser.
Because they're special.
And we know Edward Sallow was slightly unhinged, so...
And we also know that Fallout New Vegas is far better than Fallout 3.
That doesn't mean Fallout 3 is bad, but Fallout New Vegas is the best game ever made, so...
I really should play that game.
I wouldn't go that far.
Some would.
Yeah, but they're wrong.
I have too many games that I should play.
Like Adventure Island and Dizzy, for example.
And on that bombshell.
And on that bouncing bombshell.
Because, God.
Well done.
It's only because Fallout New Vegas Fallout Battle takes place at a dam. You know, bouncing bombs are used to break dams.
I know. You didn't need to explain it. It was just a good, funny finisher.
Yeah. Now it's a dad finisher because it is explained. Damn it all. Har har.
Hardy har har har. Right, so on that note, thank you for everyone who joined in to listen to this episode. We apologise profusely.
It wasn't that bad.
The Italian thing's staying in, by the way.
Damn it.
Yay! Don't worry, Tak, I'll protect you.
You live on halfway across Europe. I'm not sure how you'll manage that.
I'll give you a picture of me staring at them very judgingly. Or then I'll say I won't post any of these Tactica Imperialis memes unless they are nice to you.
Duly noted.
So, until next time, this has been Remleiz from 40k Theories.
This has been Tactica Imperialis.
And this has been Naerina from 40k Theories.
And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.